Hello, this is a video review of a Kodak Playsport Zx5 video camera. This is my first ever video review and it is probably going to be my last. I bought it because I was in the market for a dashboard camera, and of the dedicated dashboard cameras that you can find on the internet, the video quality just sucked for all of them. Another one that I was considering was a GoPro Hero HD. That looked like a really good camera, but the default field of view was like 127 degrees, and that was way too high for me. You know, you can't get really a lot of detail of cars that are directly in front of you with such a large field of view. So yeah, the GoPro is a great camera for everything else, but for dashboard purposes, no, I don't think it would quite cut it. This one, it has its flaws, but you know, when I put it on that mount and start driving, everything looks pretty good. The price was very low. It was about $170 plus tax. I got it at Target, and you know, the GoPro by itself was $300, and you know, you had to buy a $100 LCD screen if you wanted to have an LCD screen, and this one comes with everything. So yeah, just made it more of an option. And on top of that, you also have these little magnetic lenses. So took the lens caps off, there they are. Have the camera set in macro mode right now, but these are the lenses that snap on magnetically. There's an adhesive ring that goes onto the center of the lens of the camera itself, and then that's made out of metal, and then the magnetic rings stick to it. They hold on okay. Okay, I now have the wide angle lens attached to it. You know, it stays on pretty good. Like, I can hit it forward and no problem, but if I start going to the side, it pops right off. I don't know if you can see it down there, but the fisheye lens is a little bit heavier. Okay, this is the fisheye lens. As you can see, whoa, you can see pretty much everything. Like before, forward and back doesn't really do much, but you hit it a little bit less hard than the wide angle lens and it pops right off. So, you know, compared to the GoPro Hero, if you want the large field of view, definitely go with that camera, because this one is not going to cut it if you fall down off your skateboard or wherever the hell it is that you do with those cameras. The video quality is about as good as I can expect. This camera, like I said, was only, I don't know, $170 or something. Yeah, I couldn't ask for any better video quality than what this produces. And you have the two options, 1080p and 720p. And at 720p, the field of view actually gets a little bit low. And as you can see, it is a little bit. There is no lens attachment on the camera right now. This is 720p, and you know, it looks good. I can on YouTube you can't really tell the difference between 1080p and 720p, but you know, as an MP4 file, it does make a huge. And of course, with the wide angle lens, you know, it looks kind of like the fisheye for 1080p, but wide angle lens, this is not, you know, this isn't bad either. This is what the fisheye looks like at 720p. You can see on the corners, as I move it around, the image stabilization kind of, you know, just kind of moves the image around. I guess there's a lot more that the sensor can record, but for the image stabilization, it kind of, you know, has that margin on all corners, on all sides rather. And in speaking of the image stabilization, when I have it on that thing, it's not exactly the most stable mount that you can have, but you know, the video still plays rather smoothly. The night performance isn't horrible. It's actually okay. I wouldn't say that it's good, but again, this is only a $170 camera, so can't really expect too much out of it. But again, you can still see cars, you can still see people cutting people off, or anything, you know, that you might want to save for some reason or another. The audio is probably the worst of most cameras that you'll see like this. And the main reason is because if you bump it or shake it, the sound's cut out. You get this little weird plinking sound. in your audio channel, and you know, I don't know why it does that, but it does that, and all of them do that. And especially when you mount it on there and it's bouncing around, you cannot hear anything going on in the car. But one thing that it is good at is picking up voices. If there's a conversation going on in the car.
Marshmallows. Quit checking them out. They're like 12. Pervert.
And people are talking at a reasonable level, then you'll capture everything that people are saying. The interface is okay. The buttons are hard to press. Well, I say the buttons, but it's really the up, down, left, right, and the center button, D-pad, so-called, because that's the main one you're going to be using. There is digital zoom, but you have to hit the button pretty hard, and you risk hitting the center button, which will stop your recording as you press up or down. That also controls the volume when you're watching videos on here. That is one other thing, is the video watching on this camera is pretty good. Fast forwarding, you can easily just hit the right button and it'll fast forward from that point until you tell it to stop. You don't have to hold the button down. I do like that because, you know, your thumb will get sore holding that button down. Battery life sucks. It's about 2 hours for some reviews that I've seen. For me, I can barely get an hour out of it. I don't know if that's because I'm also watching videos, if watching videos uses more battery life than recording. I'm not sure. But, you know, I get the red light battery warning after about, I don't know, and I get home and I have less than an hour and a half of recording. The camera comes with some internal memory. You get about 4 seconds of 1080p video recording and about 11 seconds of 720p if you so want, and 5 pictures if you want to use it as digital camera, which by the way, I forgot to talk about. The digital camera portion of this camera is horrible. This is the worst 5 megapixel camera I've ever seen. You can downsize it to about a quarter of the size that it comes out, and you can still see flaws where the camera's sensor didn't quite capture things correctly. Everything looks fuzzy and noisy. It's just not great. The 32 gig card, you can record about 6 hours of video, so says the counter on the camera itself. It seems to be pretty accurate. And you can record about 8 hours at 720p. There is a 60 frames per second 720p mode, but that one I never plan on using, but that one uses up as much memory as the 1080p at 30 frames a second. The firmware that came with the camera, it was a 1.1, and there was an upgrade on Kodak's site for 1.3. I upgraded it after having some problems. The thing would record, and all of a sudden would just stop recording, and I wouldn't be able to turn it off. It only happened to me twice, but it still happened. But I looked up for a firmware revision and was able to download it. The procedure is actually very, very easy. You take the firmware file, you extract it, and someone's skateboarding behind me. I don't know if you can see him. There he is. Hope he doesn't think I'm weird by talking into my camera in my car. Anyway, yeah, you can use a GoPro. Anyway, I downloaded the firmware off of Kodak's site. You extract it and you put it on the memory card, put the memory card in the camera, turn the camera on, and it upgrades itself, and then asks you if you want to delete the file afterwards, and you click OK, and it does it, and then it was upgraded. Pretty seamless. Probably the easiest firmware upgrade I've ever done. I think that's just about it. I guess one more thing is, for a car charger, I have this cheap 5-volt output USB emulator and a cord attached to my camera, because if I just wanted to do this review off of battery, it would probably die on me before I got done. So this is definitely necessary if you're going to use this for a dash cam. And one more thing, the battery is not interchangeable, which is another unfortunate thing. The implications of that are obvious. If you're going somewhere, you know, and you're going to do more than a couple hours of recording time, then you're screwed, because you have no way to switch out a battery or charge it unless you bring a computer of some sort or one of these handy dandy adapter things. But I bought that one from Micro Center for about 10 bucks. It's okay. And about my mount, it's a Platinum Plus. I forget who makes it. I think it's Sunpack or something like that. I'll correct it with text later, but I had problems getting it to stick to anything. It wouldn't stick on a mirror, wouldn't stick on a window, wouldn't stick on this pad here. It was horrible. But then I did something strange. I put the I put the suction cup on my forehead, got some grease on it, and it's been there ever since. It's about a week and 2 days now. It's been sitting in the heat, and at night it hasn't moved. So that seemed to have done the trick, and it's held steady with the camera on it, under hard acceleration, under hard braking. One thing I forgot to mention now that I'm making this video is that if the camera is left on the dashboard in the sunlight, it will get very hot, and as such will not record it. It'll actually give you a error message telling you that the temperature is too high, and you click OK and then it turns off. And that's a new thing for 1.3, the older firmware version. It would just turn off. The setup works pretty well. I thought I was going to have more problems with it, but recording traffic has never been easier. So, well, anyway, that concludes my review. I hope it helps somebody. I was really pinging for information on things to use for a dash cam. This is just one idea. I'm sure there are much better ones out there, but this is what I did. This is my baby.